Hello everybody, this is Bangkok Ian here, and this is my video response to Novabug's latest Friday Foursome. The topic this month is 4 gaming or toy gifts you got as a kid. First one for me is the Evel Knievel stunt cycle. Now, pretty much every boy who grew up in the 70s knows what I'm talking about here. Evel Knievel was an absolute god. I mean, he was American Daredevil by far. There's been no one else like him. Sadly, he passed away a couple of years ago. But my God, in his prime, he had shows all over the world. I remember when he came to the UK, I think he did one show in Wembley Stadium. Wow. He would jump double-decker buses, the Ring of Flames, you name it, he's jumped it. I think he tried to jump the Grand Canyon in one of his other he had the jet car. He tried to jump over that, but I don't think he did it. He was the archetype for that Simpsons character who's always in a full body cast, that Daredevil guy. Anyway, onto the toy. It was a fantastic toy, the stunt cycle. It was maybe the yay big motorcycle. It had the Evel Knievel action figure with a helmet and everything, the all white jumpsuit, and you put it into this black depository, and it had like a crank with a handle on, and you wound the handle, kept going, and once enough energy got to the bike, it went flying, and it would do a wheelie, and I'd arrange all these jumps over all my other toys and all my sister's toys. If it was in the house and I could move it, Evel Knievel jumped over it when I was a kid. It was an amazing toy. Absolutely brilliant. The second one is the Kenner cardboard Death Star. I loved the Kenner Star Wars figures when they first came out. I got the first generations, 78, 79, something like that. And they were great. I had the Land Speeder, I had the X-Wing, but my favourite part of it was the cardboard Death Star they brought out in 78, 79-ish. It was made out of cardboard, and it had like it had 2 levels. It was circular, and it had maybe a dozen. It was partitioned off into like a dozen different mini sets from the movie. You had where Obi-Wan and Darth had the duel, and you had where they turned off the shields. They had the jail bit where Han and Luke broke out Princess Leia. But my favourite room was the trash compactor, because it was like you could close the doors, and it was brilliant. I spent, days, months, so long playing with that. It even had like a hole in the middle you could drop down. Fantastic toy. I loved it. I believe there was a plastic one that got released later, but for me, the Death Star will always be made out of cardboard. Okay, number 3 is the $6 Million Man action figure. Again, kid of the 70s, and I worshipped a different Steve Austin to later generations. Not talking about the wrestler, I'm talking about Steve Austin, the Bionic Man. Everybody watched the $6 Million Man. Everybody. It was probably one of the first proper superhero TV shows. Yeah, they had the Batman, but that was a bit camp, you know. This was like a proper, because I suppose he was a superhero in some respects, yeah. Bionic Man, the Cyborg. If you don't know who he is, oh, you've missed out. Steve Austin was played by Lee Majors, I think he's doing the fan circuits now, but he's never going to come to Thailand, so I'm never going to meet him. But yeah, it was brilliant, and the toy was amazing. It was a fantastic action figure, and it had black plastic skin you could peel back to reveal all his bionics and everything. And he had one of his eyes was like a mini telescope, so you look behind his head and you could see further. It was amazing, and it was a brilliant action figure. It came in like a little space rocket, which turned open, and it was like a little lab where you could be operated on, and his bionics could get repaired. And I had all the figures. There was one guy can't remember his name now, but he had like a all robot face. I even had Oscar Goldman action figure. That's how devoted I was to the $6 Million Man. It's a fantastic toy, and I spent years playing with that. I loved Action Man, but there was no Action Man TV show back then, and so $6 Million Man, that's the one I remember fondest. And the fourth and final choice, and this is the only gaming related one really, it's the Atari VCS. I'll always call it the VCS because when I was a kid, that's what it was called. It wasn't called the 2600 in the UK, it was called the Atari VCS. And I got it that Christmas when they were promoting Space Invaders game heavily. And I kept begging my parents, please, can I have the Atari VCS? And they kept saying, yeah, we'll see. And then they said, oh, we tried to get it, but it was all sold out. And so I was resigned to not getting it that Christmas. And of course, they were fibbing, let's say. I came down Christmas morning with my sister, and we, Atari VCS! And it was, oh God, all that Christmas, and for years after that, mad Atari VCS fan. When I got it, it had Space Invaders, then it had that combat game, that two-player tank game, and it had tanks, it had biplanes, and a couple of other game types. But the Atari VCS and that Space Invaders that came out, well, it had 112 games, something like that. Yeah, when the invaders, they were either, you could make them invisible, you could speed it up, slow it down, all sorts of different varieties. But it was actually a really good version of Space Invaders. And I absolutely loved it to death. It was brilliant. And I kept on buying Atari VCS games. I think the last one I got was The Empire Strikes Back. And by that time I was getting ready to upgrade to the BBC Micro. But I'll always remember my Atari VCS. I went through a couple of joysticks on it. And it's still the joystick that I remember. When I think of joystick, that's what comes into mind, the Atari VCS. The wood paneling, and oh, it was great. So many fantastic games in it. And that's probably my favorite Christmas gift because I wasn't expecting it. And that's what really got me into gaming. I'd had like a Binatone Pong and light gun was it console? Yeah, you plugged it into TV. I'd had that maybe a year or two before, but that was all apart from the shooting bits, that was all the two players, and I couldn't persuade my sister or my mates to play it enough. No one liked it. So the Atari VCS was probably my all-time favorite gift of all time. Anyway, that's enough waffling from me. Hope you enjoy watching. I can't wait for Chris's next one. Thanks a lot. Cheers.